Hello everybody watching. The video you are looking at is myself and my wife driving to the Amityville horror house, the real one. If you guys don't know about the house itself, there was a horrific murder spree done by a man by the name of Ronald DeFeo Jr. On November 13th, 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. shot and killed 6 members of his family at 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, Long Island, New York State. The house is situated in a suburban neighborhood in Amityville. On the south shore of Long Island. He eventually was convicted of second-degree murder in November 1975, 1 year later, and sentenced to 6 consecutive life sentences of 25 years in prison, which he would eventually go on to die in prison in March of 2021, which was this year. By the way, it's New Year's Eve, December 31st. Happy New Year to everybody. I'm in my office editing and showing you video of me driving to the Amityville house. Little bit of background. In December of 1975, George and Kathy Lutz and their 3 children moved into the house. After 28 days, they fled the house, claiming to have been terrorized by paranormal phenomena while living there. After only 28 days. This sparked a book, a Jay Anson bestseller. After the book was a movie, 1979, the movie was The Amityville Horror. Then they went on Amityville 2 in 1982, Amityville 3, Amityville 4, 1989, The Amityville Curse in 1990, Amityville 1992, It's About Time, Amityville, A New Generation 1993, Amityville Dollhouse 1996, Amityville Horror 2005 Remake, The Amityville Haunting 2011, The Amityville Asylum 2013, Amityville Death House 2015, The Amityville Playhouse 2015, Amityville No Escape 2016, Amityville Vanishing Point 2016, Amityville Legacy, Amityville Terror, Amityville Prison 2017, Amityville The Awakening 2017, The Amityville Murders 2018, The Amityville Harvest 2020, The Amityville Poltergeist 2020, Witches of Amityville Academy 2020, Amityville Island 2020, and most recently Amityville Vampire 2021. So you can see they just didn't stop making money off this house. At least Hollywood did. George and Kathy Lutz left with nothing after 28 days. They did not get rich. Jay Anson got rich, but the Lutzes did not. They actually fled the house. They fled the home and moved to California. And slept on the floor for about 2 weeks because they had no possessions. They left their boats, their motorcycles, their towels, their records, their marriage certificates, anything and everything they left because they were frightened out of their wits, which you can't really blame them for living in a house that's diabolically infested. And this was after the murders, which leads me to believe that the house itself was infested with demonic activity. Like I was saying, it leads me to believe that the house was plagued with issues even before the DeFeos moved in. The DeFeos were a prominent family of Long Island. The dad owned several car dealerships. His son worked for him. Going into what really set everything off was the murders themselves. 6 months before every member of the DeFeo family was murdered, Mr. DeFeo went to Montreal, Canada, to a shrine known to be a place where many miracles had occurred. And he brought back a lot of statues and kind of ornamentals and placed them all through the yard, which you can see in some of these pictures. He also brought back a priest, which he was an exorcist. He said masses in the house. For some reason, when he was saying masses in the house, Ronald DeFeo Jr. did not want to stick around. Apparently he left while he was saying the masses, which makes sense, and I'll get to that later. But on November 13th, 1974, at 3:15 a.m., he shot every member of his family with a high-powered rifle, and nobody heard the shots. All of them were shot on their stomachs. George Lutz did an interview where he said the house wants you to sleep like that, which is strange, but it does make sense. If there is something there that can influence you on how to lay and behave and sleep, it wouldn't surprise me. He said that the house wants you to sleep on your belly, but he tried to fight it because he didn't like sleeping on his belly. So he constantly had to turn and move to get off his belly for some reason. So there was a lot of things at work in this house. Not very many people know that. That leads up to Ed and Lorraine Warren and other parapsychologists investigating the home after the Lutzes fled after only being there 28 days. Lorraine Warren is famous, as is Ed Warren. She is a clairvoyant. She went into the house with a relic of Padre Pio. Padre Pio was a pious and holy priest from Italy. She went into the house with a lock of his hair on a card and held it in her hand. During the investigation, a lot of people were affected badly. Some people even had to be taken out of the home. What was in the home followed them back to their home in Connecticut. First, it showed itself to Ed in his study and office. Then it proceeded to go upstairs and show itself to Lorraine Warren, where she threw some holy water at it and made a sign of the cross, and it recoiled like a snake before leaving. But whatever it was black and evil, and it followed them home. When they got to the house, Ed immediately went into the basement, as was his custom, to provoke what was there. He said, "In the name of Jesus Christ, I demand you to reveal your identity," and was immediately within seconds hit with what felt like a waterfall on top of him. Thousands of points of electricity all throughout his body, and what felt like a hot towel placed over his face, hindering his breathing. He immediately went into what's called religious resistance, where he said, "In the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to leave and go back to where you came from," and it instantly lifted off him. Ed knew what he was doing. He had seen that before. But this is the quintessential case when it comes to hauntings. So you can see I'm driving to look at the house on Halloween, which is probably the best time considering it's private property and there's signs posted everywhere. But going back to the home in 1974, during the investigation, a lot of photographs were taken with an infrared camera, which I use all the time. I love it. It's my go-to weapon to look for any kind of energy or entity that's around, because it can see things that I can't. So they took photographs on a time-lapse camera, infrared, and this is where you can see what looks like a young boy peering out of a bedroom where one of the kids were murdered. On a side note, when I talk about things following you, this also happened to the Lutzes. When you leave a location that has haunting phenomenon, and you leave and talk about it or listen to tapes from the location or discuss it or think about it, things can come through. Especially if you've just been to a location where a haunting is happening. You can be affected away from that location. Things can come through just by talking about it or thinking about it. A lot of haunting phenomenon is brought on by telepathic hypnosis. An example of that is seeing something in your home explode, or a table explode. It explodes in your mind's eye, but in a few moments it's pieced back together like it never happened.
like a big light. Kind of. The light is like in the middle of your jacket. You can't see your face at all. Here. Put it on me.
Yeah, it's okay. It's fine. I'm gonna switch modes anyway. The house at 112 Ocean Avenue still exists, but have been recently, in the past 10-15 years, renovated. The address has been changed in order to discourage sightseers from visiting it. The quarter-round windows have been removed. The house today looks considerably different, especially from its depiction in the films. The house was originally built in 1924 by John and Catherine Moynihan. So this wraps up. The home was recently sold. In 2016 it hit the market. It was sold in 2017, and the family that lives there now, which I actually had the pleasure to speak with briefly, but I did talk to the family, and they're a good, decent family. They had some issues this night with people going on their property that have no reason or right to be there. It's really ridiculous. If you're gonna go out to these places, or abandoned buildings, or sanitariums, if you're gonna do this, get somebody's permission, especially if it's a house or you're going on private property. Don't just wander on people's property, especially a house like Amityville, because the new owners weren't too jazzed about it. But they seem to be doing fine in the new house. As you can see, the house is a pretty, beautiful, majestic home, but it does have a dark history. My feeling is that the new owners aren't putting off any kind of vibe. Sometimes a house can get activated by certain people. I think the new owners are not setting anything off in the house. It appears to me that they're living happy, healthy lives. So to wrap this up, I want to say thank you to everybody who stuck around to watch till the end. If you want to see more videos like this, I have lots coming. I don't play around, I only get to the good stuff. We're talking Annabelle, the possessed doll that the movies are made of. We're talking about the Amityville horror house. I'm talking to some of the world-renowned experts in the field of paranormal phenomenon. I investigate, I help people with phenomenon. I've seen a lot of things. that are available in some of my other videos, where you can see ghosts wandering around in a graveyard. They show up as balls of light or energy, but you can see them on my infrared film when I wander around graveyards at 3 o'clock in the morning, which I don't recommend. But thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned because we're just getting started.